Welcome, my fellow operatives. My name is Taft Taylor, and this is a special episode of the Nemesis Sessions. And along with me to join is Mr. Chris Craven and Mr. Peter Richards. We might be joined by some other people later today, but we're here to honor our version of a tribute to the late Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt. How you doing, guys?
Best I can be. Just going day by day.
Yeah. So the wrestling world was definitely shook up this past week. Well, we just found out about a little while ago today that there was a third member. He was associated, right, Chris, with the WWE, and that's Mr. Bob Barker as well.
He made those guest appearances on Raw, and like I said, he was like one of them rich guys that hung out with Vince and them too. So
yes, definitely. I want to start off real fast by doing the old school that everybody does, traditional 10-bell salute, if you will. And if you'll join me in this, we have our little moment of silence. So I know it was a little different, but I definitely want to pay my respect. These guys want to pay their respect, and just have everybody come on here and kind of just share their memories. Hey, can you hear me? Dave C, you said yo, speak up. If you can hear me, let us know, guys. Y'all audio test. Can y'all hear me pretty good, Pete and Chris?
Yeah, I can.
He says, my condolences, brothers, prayers and hugs to all. Thank you, Dave. Creepy Leech said Bob Barker, and Backyard Elite Wrestler said, good day, Taylor. Good day. They're from Australia. Definitely check them out. Thanks. So how about Pete? I know Bray Wyatt was a really, really big influence to you. And I've heard a little bit about what you said and some stuff going on, but why don't you share with us some of your favorite things about Bray Wyatt, memories or, favorite matches, anything you want to talk about, or Terry Funk, whichever.
I wasn't really big into Terry Funk, not because I didn't like him. It's just he was before my generation, I know I'm 30, so I don't remember the Attitude Era. I remember more towards Ruthless Aggression era and stuff. So yeah. Terry was kind of out before me.
Terry Funk was Mick Foley before Mick Foley was Mick Foley.
Yeah. Yeah, he was I remember Chainsaw Charlie. I remember that.
Crazy son of a bitch that he was.
Oh, yeah. But with Bray, this is my third podcast talking about him. It's just insane. How you don't really realize until they pass away how influential they were. Bray to me was more of, he reminded me that mental health and imagination and things like that aren't a detriment to you. They're a blessing, and the biggest thing with Bray was how he could speak. It wasn't the promo itself. It was what he said. You half the time probably couldn't understand what he was talking about, but you were still hooked. And like I said in my podcast, Cryptid Bros, with me and Ryan, he was just something insane to even think of, and yesterday we did a podcast on Ryan's, and we talked about how he was like almost the second coming of Undertaker, but it wasn't at the same time, and you couldn't put Bray in a box. He was so outside the box. And when we were doing the promo wrestling stuff, me and James and stuff, in PWF, I think it was my second title run, I took from Bray a concept, of him creating this world, and didn't even realize I was kind of copying him, but it was such a fun time. I created my whole gimmick and stuff around it, and it's just the imagination that came from even trying to be like Bray Wyatt just made me so happy, you know, and I never realized it till Thursday when he passed away, and now I'm just
Yeah,
gonna miss him, you know.
that's it's rough when you hear about somebody that you really looked up to,
Mm,
especially like that. Chris, what
mm,
about you with Terry Funk? If I could, real quick, I loved it when he did Chainsaw Charlie.
mhm.
I thought that was hilarious in WWF. But the Terry Funk matches in the old NWA days, man, he was something else.
Dude, he was still something else. Even you're talking about a guy who won the ECW title when he was in his 50s,
Yeah,
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 yeah.
right? Like,
that was wild.
are you like, come on, man? The guy didn't give a shit. He wanted to just. It's
He
kind
just,
of like you hear me talk about it on Tom's show sometimes. It's like he was one of those guys. Bray was another one. They both were those. There was the kind of athletes, or those kinds of entertainers that wanted to put everything into the storytelling and put everything they had into what the audience witnessed.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
You know, and it's like Bray, like I say, I talk about it all the time. This is a guy that is a prime example of somebody that can tell a story by not only his actions or his emotions, but his words in the most cryptic way you could possibly imagine.
Hmm.
Very gifted. Gifted so much that the company several times had to attempt to repackage him because they didn't know how to write for him.
Hmm.
They could not keep up with him.
Yeah.
Sorry, 1 second. Keep going. Keep going.
So it's like there's like I said, there's a lot of talent that comes along over the years that can have that methodical kind of vibe to them that can get to you without they don't have to scream and shout. They don't have to go over the top. They can just do it. Like, you know, less is more. Taker was one of them. Stan Hansen was one of them. Terry Funk was one of them. Jake the Snake Roberts, and Bray Wyatt. Like these are just prime examples of guys that could come out and scare the shit out of you just in a calm, methodical, just whatever kind of way, just get under your skin and creep you out. Like somebody you don't want to be in the back alley
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
My
It's like
layout.
yesterday.
Keep talking, y'all. My bad. The layout is just
Okay.
kind of quite screwy on me, so my bad. I'm working on it.
You're all right. I was just going to say yesterday we did an episode on Off the Dome podcast. We talked about like how Bray was almost a cult or like a religion almost. You know, he never even betrayed it, but you wanted to like gravitate towards him and be like, hey, whatever you're smoking, we want. You know, whatever you're dealing, we're taking. You know, it was just it was insane how he could just get you to believe with just words and not even have to wrestle as much.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like I want to comment on this. Who's a creepy Lynch put something up on the comments. Like it's not a controversial opinion. I don't think that's controversial.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty out there and blunt because come on now, we've all watched WWE long enough to know that the company puts a product out there and on more than one occasion, with more than one superstar or performer, they've misused or not got it. Just they haven't got the niche down yet on how to use the person. Sometimes it came later on. Sometimes it resulted in the person just leaving the company, going elsewhere, so they could get that part of their character out. Like for example, Dean Ambrose.
Mm-hmm.
Dean Ambrose is a prime example of that. Of he couldn't be who he wanted to be, so he went elsewhere to get it. And look at him now. Like Moxley is that's why Dean left. He wanted to be Moxley. He wanted that, maybe not the name, but he wanted that character, that mentality of his to change into what he is now. And they wouldn't let it do it. They wouldn't let it happen. So Bray is another one that is like you said, it's so repackaged. Like you had You had the Bray Wyatt in the beginning, who was the cult leader, like, and then you had the Fiend, you had the Firefly and Funhouse. You have this new iteration. There's 6 different iterations of Bray Wyatt throughout. That's why they wanted to do the Wyatt 6 storyline with him, but they couldn't even they didn't know how to write it.
Because they couldn't for him, because he's the only one that knows himself up there. That's
everybody in the company loved it. Everybody loves what he can put out, but it's kind of like Bray Wyatt is he's a performer. He's a person that I think, this is my personal opinion, that belonged in the Attitude Era, and I say that particularly for this reason. Back then, there wasn't a room full of writers. There wasn't a room full of people. There was Vince McMahon and Vince Russo and Bruce Pritchard. Those were the 3 guys that came up with all the shit and put it out there. And a lot of the times, any other thing that you saw off the wall had to do with the talent doing it live and then asking permission later.
Yeah. And that's the first time I heard that about dropping Bray Wyatt in the Attitude Era. That would have been I think he would have been right up there with Rock and Austin.
It was like DX. Like, how many times did DX? You hear all these stories about DX. They got in trouble every week when they went back. But they went out the next week and they did something so much to the point where the network contacted the company, was like, "What the, Bray?" That would have been a perfect environment for Bray to get all of him, more of him out in front of the camera, without even having to ask. He could have just did it, and people would have. Come on, now, can you imagine Attitude Era Bray Wyatt versus Attitude Era Undertaker?
Oh man, that would have been
or Mankind from like 97.
Hell, even Kane, 97, 98 Kane with Bray Wyatt. Shit. I love Kane. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I was sitting here listening. I was trying to think. He would have benefited too in WCW if he would have had like freedom. With the
he would have gotten used in WCW.
Well, I mean, like with Vampiro and the Sting and stuff, like
WCW was all about Hogan and the NWO and Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, I mean, if he was before NWO, he probably would have been as big as NWO.
It would have been interesting for sure if once NWO hit, it was over. But if he had went before, then yeah. But it would have made more sense maybe in the Attitude Era. He would have fit with all those guys.
No, I get what he's saying though. Like in WCW was different because a lot of the top tier talent or a lot of the potential talent that was getting the higher checks were in charge of their character. They had creative control of everything they didn't do. And that's kind of one of the reasons why Hogan always had the belt.
Yeah. As long as he would have.
Do we remember the Jeff Jarrett Hogan thing? Was that 2000 or 99, whatever that one pay-per-view was that they did?
That ain't going to work for me, brother.
Yeah. Bray, that's a hit or a miss. Bray could have been used properly and been that Undertaker, or he could have been misused and dogged like every other guy that was there that was a no-name.
Yeah. If he would have stayed away from Hogan, he would have been good.
Do y'all consider that moment on the Raw 30th anniversary, Undertaker kind of passing the torch to him?
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. As far as like me with Bray, when I first saw him, I'm just thinking, this guy could talk. This guy could talk, and I knew he was already going to go somewhere because one of the biggest things to get you over is your mouthpiece. If you can talk and sell yourself and draw those people in, I had no idea what the hell he was saying half the time, but I was like, he's going to do what? What is he talking about, man? I want to see this guy fight. And then I see him sick his boys on everybody, but he'd always sit in that chair at first. I'm just like, I want to see if this guy's got some talent. I want to see what he could do in the ring. And then when he got in the ring and he just tore the house down, I was just like, damn, this guy's something else. And I liked him. I liked him a lot. Personally.
I watched the SmackDown last night. I liked the tribute stuff that they did, but one thing that really got me, kind of made me go, damn, that was really good, was LA Knight, what LA Knight had to say about him.
Yeah.
Like that was like LA Knight don't know him all that. Like they don't have a lot of time together. They had that feud. LA Knight came up as Wyatt was out when he was out after the Fiend thing. You know, so I think that it was pretty good that they got. He said something that was really nice of him to say what he said. But like I've been watching the news and I've been looking at all the reports and all the comments and the dirt sheets all day and all yesterday. And I tell you the one that really kind of gets to me the most, that really fucks with my head, is what Randy Orton's response is. He couldn't even respond. He had to have his wife put it out for him. It was there was like a comment or like a post put up, and then apparently there was an attempt for him to do a video, but he couldn't do it. His wife did it for him.
Why?
He was destroyed. Orton
just couldn't. Yeah.
Oh, he was heartbroken then. Damn.
Like, you see these guys on these shows when someone passes, Eddie Guerrero, Bray Wyatt, and they got to do their part and they got to do their job and they got to focus and they can't really show what's going on. But like the Eddie Guerrero show, everybody was a mess that whole night.
Yeah.
They were doing those backstage spots.
They were like that. They were like that when Benoit died in a way too.
Right. And then with Bray Wyatt, like everybody's put, I think Alexa Bliss and Randy Orton apparently were like two of the closest people in the locker room to him.
Yeah.
And Randy was like bent the fuck out of shape.
Damn. That's wild. What do you think about Eric Rowan coming and appearing?
That was cool to see him, and it was good to see him and Braun next to each other right there.
What'd you think of that, Pete?
I would have been pissed if they didn't bring Eric in. He was at Brody's tribute show, and he had to be there. Him and Braun both. It sucks that some people like Roman wasn't there. Him and Roman was real good behind the scenes. There's that famous picture of him with Brody and him.
There is talk that Roman is going to be handing the Blue Universal title
to
the family.
I heard that too. Yeah, Sean, you could come on and pop in. Anybody's welcome if they want to come in and share some of their memories and stuff like that. But go ahead, yeah. Go ahead, Pete.
It's cool that WWE's taking all the merch money that they're going to make from Bray and give it to his, JoJo and his kids and all that.
Well, fuck, they deserve it,
Yeah.
Sure. JoJo's still in the company. I don't remember if JoJo's still in the company or not. I think she might be.
She might be. I'm not sure.
But
they were supposed to get married at the end of, next month, which is insane to even think of. He's only 36.
He's also somebody that has had COVID a couple times, and the last time caused him to have a heart attack because he had heart conditions, which did not pan out well. That's what I've heard from news reports, not wrestling news reports. Like it's all over Fox. It's all over. It was on CNN this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's scary because Barry Windham, he had a heart attack back in December. Bray's uncle. And they didn't think he was going to make it from that, and then here comes Bray, with his heart attack and didn't make it.
Hell, I saw a thing today on one of the wrestling feeds or one of the wrestling pages. Fans were trying to somebody said something about signing the petition. They want 2K and WWE to make Bray Wyatt next year the showcase piece and cover of the game.
That would be for sure.
I was like, I would sign it if that was a petition. If that's what they're trying to do it, I'd sign that bitch.
I'm gonna invite Mr. Sean Joby on here from WCE. Sean,
howdy.
To the Nemesis sessions, and Sean, this is my buddy Pete, Peter Richards, and
nice
Mr.
to meet
Chris
you.
Draven.
Yep, of course.
So we're on here. We're just giving our little tribute and talking some cool stuff about Bray Wyatt and fun stuff we remember and.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You got anything? Oh, I want to real quick. Leach said Bray creatively never recovered from Hell in a Cell with Seth. I did not know that. Is that an actual fact? Do y'all know that?
I mean, I kind of catch that a little bit.
Mhm.
He didn't really take off because of that match.
Bray and Seth both took a hit with that match because of the way they ended it. It's a Hell in a Cell that ended in a DQ.
Yeah, that was a terrible Hell in a Cell. I remember it a little bit now.
I would say the Fiend itself didn't recover. Bray, he was coming back. He was slowly getting back when he did his last return back in October.
It really sucks as a fan, someone like him is a performer that puts everything he has into his performances. Like this whole Wyatt 6 thing.
Yeah.
That was supposed to go on with his brother, Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, that's one I'm surprised wasn't there last night but I understand not being, because it's the day after he should have been with his family.
Yeah.
But I really think they need to bring Bo in and let Bo have a moment.
Give him a push, something,
Yeah.
Even if they let him come out and talk, let him have a moment.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that whole Wyatt 6 thing was supposed to be this whole year after WrestleMania, and it never got started.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's a damn shame for sure. TBK saying hashtag forever a Firefly. Yes, I am a Firefly. I think we all are. I never got to. I've seen a lot of wrestling live. I've seen a lot of WWE live. I never, unfortunately, got to witness seeing Bray Wyatt wrestle. So that's that. With me, did I like watching him? Hell yeah. One of my favorite matches of his, personally. I liked his match with Undertaker at WrestleMania 31. And I love that Elimination Chamber when he finally won the WWE title. Like, I felt that. Like, I'm like, he better win. That son of a... Because I remember right before that, Vince McMahon was on that podcast with Austin, and Austin asked him about Bray Wyatt. And he goes, Bray's one of those guys that it's like you can tell he's reaching for that proverbial brass ring. And can you see him as champion one day? Yeah, maybe. Who knows? And then sure enough, look what happened. He won the title shortly after that. And I was just like ecstatic for him. I was like, he deserves it. I'm sure maybe we all felt that. I don't know what y'all thought about that.
I felt it.
I thought that his title run as the Fiend went short, and I know why they did that. Everybody knows why they did that. They wanted to put Goldberg in a spot, and they could have put Goldberg in a spot without doing that.
Yeah.
But I think that could have went a little longer. The Fiend championship run. This just sucks. I mean, there's so many things in wrestling you wish you could see with these guys. Whether it's Bray or it's Terry Funk, Funk hasn't wrestled a match in a few years, in a while, but he was still somebody that was behind the scenes, was putting everything he could into passing everything along. I mean, Jesus Christ, you're talking about somebody who basically is almost financially solely responsible for getting Paul Heyman and his ECW off the ground.
Really? Yeah.
The guy that was one of the benefactors. He was one of the investors in ECW. He's the whole reason they got their first ever pay-per-view, and he's one of the reasons why they got started. Like Terry, a lot of people don't know about Terry Funk stuff that he did behind the scenes, but I think if I'm not mistaken, he put all the money up for the first ECW pay-per-view with the company, with the cable companies, with getting aired.
I believe it. I definitely believe it. Jovi, what about you? Do you got a great Terry Funk or Bray Wyatt memory match that you really enjoyed that you can share with us?
Yeah, actually, it was kind of a good experience for me and my ex-roommate. Him and I used to watch wrestling. I was trying to get him into WWE. And one of the people he really liked was Bray Wyatt. And I was in the whole Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt tag team thing. And I was enjoying that, and I got him to enjoy it too. Became a big wrestling fan out of it. Yep, the delete. Yeah, I know you guys mentioned the match earlier, I think, but it always stuck out to me, and I thought it was interesting. I also heard through the grapevine or someone told me that I guess Matt Hardy was playing in Vacation with Bray before this happened.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
where I heard it from. Some random source, probably not even true. But if that's true, I feel really bad for
No,
and
Matt.
because I guess
Matt.
they were pretty close.
Go ahead,
Matt.
Pete.
I was just say Matt posted I think it was Instagram or a tweet that him and his family go on vacations. Like his wife wrote the songs for the Ultimate Deletion match. Like Matt's wife, Ribby,
Yeah,
did
that's
all the
awesome.
music for it. And I think it was his first son. His oldest son is Bray's biggest fan or something like that.
Yeah,
And
Max,
Bray would give him,
Maxwell.
Bray would give him gifts and stuff.
that's neat. Jovi, I noticed
Yeah.
your shirt that you're wearing. Is it Follow the Buzzards?
Yep,
Oh, that's cool.
had to. It's the only Wyatt family shirt I had, so I was like, throw it on.
I could not find mine to save my life. I need to order some shit before they take it off, if they do. I'm sure they
Yeah.
won't, but I need to order some shirts because
They kept Eddie's stuff on for quite a while after.
yeah, oh yeah, definitely. What I gotta throw in Terry Funk real quick. One thing I loved about Terry Funk was his selling ability, and I have to talk about this one small moment. Tell me, do any of y'all remember King of the Ring '98 in the Hell in a Cell when he came out for that brief moment and Undertaker choke slammed the dog shit out of him, and he
Out of his
choke
shoe.
slammed him out of his shoe. His shoes fell. Oh, he would just swerve like a freaking earthworm.
You talk about, what was it, Royal Rumble? Go back to Royal Rumble '98 when he came out. I think he came out number one and number two. Mick Foley, one of Mick Foley's characters.
It was Cactus Jack.
Cactus and Chainsaw Charlie, and his motherfucker come out in the entrance swinging a chainsaw.
And he had the pantyhose on his head.
Right.
Yeah, his pantyhose.
Oh, that motherfucker was hilarious. But I mean,
gear wasn't a thing.
You see a 50-year-old man doing a half crooked moonsault. I was like, he has no fear. He has no fear. You know, that street fight they had on Monday Night Raw, him and Cactus Jack, that dumpster. You know what I mean?
The dumpster was it New Age Outlaws?
Yeah, I think it was the New Age.
That one. The dumpster match.
They threw it overboard. I was like, shit.
He was one of the reasons why WCW put a hardcore title on there. He kept telling him, "You need to go.
Yeah.
You need to get fucking nuts. You gotta get this."
Yeah.
Do some hardcore bullshit.
You need to let people get nuts.
I was just gonna say it's insane that Terry Funk was from the '70s and '80s. Like nowadays, deathmatch is like a new thing. Like Terry Funk would have been insane nowadays if he was young and
he would have been probably more over the top than he was.
Yeah.
Oh, they want this, I'll do this shit.
Him and Matt Cardona and all them with the deathmatch shit, like, oh, it'd have been amazing.
I can't believe Cardona is doing that now.
Yeah,
he's nuts.
He's. I have a personal hate for him, but it's amazing.
Terry Funk debuted in 1965.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
That's over 50 years of wrestling. Did y'all hear him at the Hall of Fame when he said, when he was inducted, that he doesn't want to die on a deathbed. He would die in a wrestling ring, and they're going to have a universal battle royal up in heaven. And I was like, hell yeah, that'd be cool.
1965 to 2017.
That was his last match, 2017?
Yeah, that was his whole career, 65 to 2017.
Man, how many?
What is that, 52 years?
I think that beat Flair. I think that beats
Flair. I would say that's more than Flair, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. And he could still go like the rest of them. He'd go all day.
He wasn't sucking wind like Flair.
You're talking about a guy that was part of Western State Sports in the 60s and 70s. He was in championship wrestling in Florida, NWA, All Japan Wrestling, WWF, WCW, ECW, IWA. He's all over the place.
Go ahead. What?
I was just gonna say my favorite thing with Terry Funk is he told Dusty Rhodes to suck eggs. That's my favorite thing.
Suck eggs.
That's just my
Egg
favorite
sucking.
thing in the world. Dusty Rhodes takes his boot off and hits him in the forehead. Like, God.
I'm gonna do something a little funny. It's just to lighten the mood a little bit. Just share it because I just it's fun. I was going through some of my old videos and I hear background noise. Y'all hear that?
I do.
Yeah, I hear you too. So somebody's got some feedback.
I say
My
everything's
kids
turned
over here
off.
playing Mortal Kombat.
No, like we hear echo. Like I can hear myself talk after I'm done talking. I'm talking still. There it is.
Is it me?
No,
I don't know.
I know what to do. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, is it still there? Yep.
Yeah.
Is it still there? Nope.
No.
It was Mr. Craven. Yeah, Craven. So it's I've still got the feedback. So it was on you. He'll come back. He'll come right back.
He'll be back.
He'll be back. Mr. TBK asks if he can join in. Yeah, you're more than welcome to join in. If you want to follow a link, Pete, do you have a link? Maybe you can send it to him if you want. That's up to you.
Can
Here we
I?
go. Chris Craven back in. All right. Yeah, we're good now, right? Yep. No thing. I wanted to rest in peace, Funk and Wyatt from the Painmaker. Yes, sir. I'm going to do something a little funny. So the Nemesis, James Taylor, actually had an in-ring moment with Bray Wyatt back in 2019, and I'm going to say in the video game world, and I want to share that with you all today. It's something a little fun to do, but I was going to share a moment that James Taylor had in 2K19 with Bray Wyatt.
To me. You see, in our last encounter, you destroyed something important to me, and now I will destroy someone important to you. But this is of your doing,
As you can
Buzz.
see here, if anybody
You
plays
left
the
him for
story
the
in
vultures,
2K19,
remember? I'm simply
there's
doing
a
what
part
comes
where you have to go
natural,
against Bray Wyatt,
swooping
because
down
Cole wins.
and consuming the
So, watch
flesh
this.
that you left exposed.
If any of y'all played this, let me
We
know
still
if you
have
remember
no
it,
idea
because
who this guy
was,
is.
Fun. And this was James Taylor's moment with him.
You have got to be kidding me. Bray Wyatt has recruited Cole Quinn? Or whatever's
Here
left
I
of him.
come.
Somehow, this just got even more personal.
Everybody in here from the Indies.
And again, Bray Wyatt and Cole Quinn
That was
gang up on
actually a true
Buzz.
story.
It's Finn Balor. The Demon King was not going to sit back and let this happen to Buzz. Bray has some kind of powerful mental hold on Cole. What does Kurt Angle have to do with any of this?
It's obvious that the issues between you two are far from over. So at Survivor Series, you're going to face each other in a rematch. But this time, I'm going to make sure that the match makes it to the ring and stays there. And there will also be
Visitors in this one. Will Buzz be able to continue? I doubt it.
With that being said,
What does Buzz have in store? Stone Cold Stunner! That'll pretty much do it.
So this is my Bray Wyatt.
Wait a second. That's Cole Quinn. So much for the cage preventing anyone from interfering. And it's 2-on-1 yet again.
And then Finn Balor. He should do that more often.
Here comes Finn Balor. This is exactly what Kurt Angle didn't want to happen. Too late now. Sister Abigail on Buzz. This time, Finn Balor can't help him. It's over. Bray Wyatt has managed to defeat Buzz in a steel cage match.
That was my Bray Wyatt moment.
There you go.
How you doing? Welcome, Mr. TBK, and everybody's all good now. How you doing, Sean, Pete? So there was my little fun moment I wanted to share. TBK, welcome. It's been a while. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Can't complain. Nobody would care anyway.
Everybody cares because we're all where we're at today, and thankful to be here. Everything happens. It's just been a wild week, a rough week for the wrestling world.
Been a very emotional week. I like Pete said, I did my podcast yesterday, and I cannot for the life of me remember a time where I actually cried, over a celebrity death or a wrestler death or anything like that. As soon as I saw the news, I immediately, called my fiance, and I was like, dude, like my whole world just fucking crashed. I was like, no, man, come on. Like, all the reports were saying he was doing great. He was so close to coming back. And then bam, you just get a shot to the chest like that, and it took all the wind out of everybody's sails.
When I saw it, like, my heart dropped. I'm like, that ain't real. That ain't real. Tell me that ain't real.
Yeah.
Like, it hit me. It hit my heart. I was like, holy shit. And you care and like a wrestler that much if it strikes you like that.
Yeah.
Damn. Share with us a memory that you got, like a favorite moment of yours, with about Bray Wyatt or even Terry Funk or both. What's some favorite things that you had that you loved most about him?
Yeah, like I said, well, like Pete said, I can't really speak too much on Terry, but Bray for sure. I don't know if I can pick a singular moment, and the reason being is because the way that I felt about Bray was 100% captivated whenever he was on the screen. And when he wasn't there, I found myself waiting for the next time that he was. I didn't care about anything else going on. It was just, what is next for Bray? My most special moment, and I talked about it, was him returning at Extreme Rules. He actually returned on my 30th birthday.
Nice.
So and it was crazy because me and the lady were supposed to go to that show, but crazily enough, she ended up in the hospital that night, and I was at the house by myself. I couldn't go with her because of all the COVID shit, and so I was forced to stay home. And she was like, well, try to keep me updated on the show as best you can. And then, of course, WWE and WWE fashion waited until the very last minute to bring Bray back.
Like they always do.
And happy birthday to me. That's all I could say.
There you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are some moments right there, when it's like a birthday and it's a pay-per-view of some sort.
No, I'll never forget it. Never. Yeah.
I had only one incident like that, and that was in '99 at Backlash, April 25th, because that's my birthday, my 15th birthday, and my present was to get Backlash to see Stone Cold and The Rock in the main event for his Smoking Skull title.
Yeah.
And that was a badass show. The whole show was great. So, but
right.
I know what that's like. That's neat. What'd y'all think about when he was the Fiend and won, kind of like what you were talking about earlier? And Craven, by the way, this is TBK. I think y'all met before. Sean Jovi, and Sean Jovi, TBK, and there you go. So, and I know Pete, myself. But what about when he was the Fiend and he won the Universal title? Do y'all think that had more meaning than when he was Bray and won the WWE title? Or do you think it was more meaningful the other way around? Because to me, it was when he was Bray, Elimination Chamber, won the WWE title. That meant more. What's y'all's opinion on that?
I agree with you, actually, on that one.
Me personally. What about you, Pete?
I like the WWE title run better.
Mm-hmm.
I think the WWE title far exceeds the Universal title. And it means more when your base gimmick to win it, The Fiend was just a character from Bray, but Bray winning in the Elimination Chamber, beating what was it? John Cena, AJ Styles.
Yeah, big
Well,
names.
Yeah, big names, and he wins it. Like that meant more. And I'm just sour about Goldberg beating
There we go.
Bray. Anyways, Goldberg's an Oklahoma guy, and I'm pissed that he beat Bray. But,
Yeah.
so I'm just
Goldberg kind of in the overrated. I love Goldberg, but
yeah.
back in the day, Goldberg more. I liked his little comeback for Brock Lesnar, that whole situation, but it's like, okay, right there, you should stop right there.
Yeah.
You know, chill out.
Well, I mean, personally, I didn't care that he did other matches. Vince wanted to use him. Vince wanted to put him in spots. Okay, put him in spots. He doesn't need a title run to make gold. You don't need.
That's right.
It's kind of like Austin or The Rock or Cena. You don't need a title match to put this kind of gimmick up on the card. You don't. It doesn't need to be. Like, for example, he did that SummerSlam match with Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah.
That was Dolph's request. Dolph wanted to work with Goldberg. I was like, and it didn't need a title, and it was still funny as shit.
He sold the fuck out of that damn
Right.
thing.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It was funny as shit because Dolph wanted it.
Yeah.
It was kind of his pitch. Can we do this?
I personally like Dolph Ziggler. I think he's a hell of a worker. I think he's like a modern day Shawn Michaels in a sort of way, you know?
Yeah.
Dolph is criminally underused. Like he is phenomenal ring talent.
Mm-hmm.
And
You want to know why Dolph is was incredibly underused?
why is that?
I know this story.
Oh, yeah, he's got
can't wait on that.
too.
One second.
I know this
One
story.
second.
Okay,
One
so
second.
Dolph Ziggler is incredibly underused because when he came in,
Yep.
it's like I've said on Tom Bryce's show about being a mark or a copy. Dolph cared more about copying Shawn Michaels and would be very verbal about it in the locker room with everyone from top to bottom. That is a prime example of, all right, well, you just want to be him.
Yeah.
So no matter how good he was, we're not going to make you another Michaels.
Yeah. That was the mistake. He should have just kept his mouth shut and just did it.
Every push Dolph has gotten, you can tell he has had to eat his shit sandwich first before getting it.
Yeah.
He's credited Shawn and Jericho a lot for his style, which you can see, with the fancy coats and the spandex and all. But I mean, still though, even I get what you're saying. I would much rather be the best version of me that I could be rather than copy someone else. So
it's
I
like
understand.
I say when I told Anthony Steele, like, don't go down there being a mark.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, don't God do it. You be a fan of whoever you got to be a fan of, but do it quietly.
Keep it inside. Keep it all inside.
They don't like that shit.
Yeah.
But Nick or Dolph, whatever his real name's Nick, but he's a good talent. He's a good person in the locker room. He will work his ass off for anything. It's a shame they didn't do a lot more with him. To be honest with you, I'd love to see a Dolph Ziggler versus Michaels before Michaels retired, but not a spoof, not a joke, a one-on-one. Let's kind of like Jericho and Michaels did, or Michaels and Taker did, like put on a pay-per-view and let these guys just fucking go.
That would have been a banger. I loved the Jericho and Michaels match at WrestleMania 19. That match was
that was solid.
That was great storytelling.
Hey, if you don't mind, I'm gonna pop off. All right.
You're good, Sean. Hey, well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Anytime.
I appreciate you, man. You guys have a good night.
You too.
You too. All right, brother.
Well, that was Mr. Sean Joby. So, Leach says fairly certain that fans will probably chant Bray stuff at All In tomorrow. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, AEW's pretty much already been on top with the Bray tributes, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't doubt it.
Man, did y'all see when Braun Strowman was out there? He had some hair going on that head. It's been a while since I've seen the hair coming back.
Braun's injured. Hopefully he comes back soon. Eric Rowan, on the other hand, he's not hurt. He's just not active.
Is he signed with AEW or is he WWE?
I don't know.
That's what I was confused.
He's the Indies.
He popped in AEW. He had like 1 or 2 appearances around the time Brody Lee passed.
Yeah.
And before you know it, you saw him on Impact, I think, a couple times. And then after that, I don't know. I don't know where his contract is.
I mean, for God's sake, though, you got to think, like, right now, I guarantee the last thing he's thinking about is hopping in a ring right now. He's, I mean, for God's sake,
on the contrary, I think they need to let Strowman and Rowan do something.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm with you. Like, I think they should, but when he's ready, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but
can you imagine the emotional wreck at his funeral?
No, God, no. No.
Can you imagine how many wrestlers are going to be there?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, and it just goes to show, like, the guy transcended the company. You know, there's companies all over the world that are doing tributes for him, and that's the way it should be, because at the end of the day, it's about the person, not the product.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, and that goes with all aspects. If you got the world, the wrestling world, I call it, and you got all their attention, shoot. I mean, that shows the respect you have from your peers and from everybody. Yeah. That's crazy. That just shows you also how fragile life is. 36 years old. He's younger than me. I'm 39. I know Craven's a little older than me by a year. And it's just it's wild to think, like, wow, just like that. And from what I understood, he was doing better. He was doing well. And then out of nowhere, because of his heart, boom. Just like, that just shows you how fragile life is. Don't take anything for granted, you know. People want to sit here and worry and complain and, you know, bitch about things and say that you're nothing and you're nobody, and then before you know it, oh, I shouldn't have said that to him. That motherfucker dead, you know?
Everybody loves you when you're gone.
Right. So Eric Rowan is not under contract anywhere right now.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not. Okay. I saw a little gray in his beard.
But he has been making appearances in Impact and AEW throughout the last couple years. He just, ever since he was released during the pandemic, he hasn't been doing much, but he's been doing some things.
I was wondering. He had a WrestleMania moment.
Yeah.
With
The Rock.
Yeah.
I love that moment with Bray and The Rock. Bray getting in his face and then Rock talking the smack back and him sitting there like, it was an interesting, kind of like a teaser of what the Attitude Era could have went like you were talking about, Craven. Mm-hmm. Did you hear about that TBK earlier?
I did.
That's an interesting statement. I mean, drop Bray Wyatt at his peak in the Attitude Era. That would have been golden. I think he would have swam with those sharks with no problem.
And it wouldn't have mattered which version, whether it was the cult leader, whether it was the Fiend.
Oh yeah.
How he could have dropped in doing the Muscle Man dance and he still would have swam.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Yeah. Attitude Era was super gimmick heavy though. Like it was, you know, you had your canes,
but most importantly, it was a locker room full of guys that were constantly trying to get themselves over, even if it broke every rule in the company.
Yeah,
it was like, yeah, come on. Anybody that does any real news and information storytelling from that time frame knows that locker room is full of sharks.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt.
Yeah,
no doubt.
I mean, you know, at the time, if a 7-foot, you know, Lord of Darkness Western Undertaker can come out on a motorcycle, it's not outside the realm of possibility to see a guy hop out of a, you know, Jack in the Box with a crazy ass mask on. You know, Bray would have fit in. He would have fit in 100%. You know, yeah, it's just it's a shame now that it's just going to be a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas. You know, and I feel like that unfortunately sums up the rest of his career, which is so fucking sad.
Yeah.
Major drop ball, man.
You get that with a lot of these wrestlers that pass away that go before, so early. And, they probably had a lot of time left in them. And they're, some names everybody's, cool with. There's one name that nobody's cool with. But you got to figure, like, if some of these guys just didn't go so early, like, what could have else been accomplished? Like, could you imagine if Eddie Guerrero was still with us?
Yeah.
Ultimately, that may have, hell, I'm speculating, but that may have even kept Benoit alive instead of him crashing.
It would have helped
for sure.
The way he crippled himself mentally over Eddie.
I would have loved to see Eddie still around, especially with this whole Dom thing now.
Yeah,
I would have loved to see how they slid him in there. Like
Dom versus Eddie in WrestleMania.
I would have always loved to see would have been Eddie versus Daniel Bryan.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like you think about this. You think about like you said, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or the what ifs about if these guys were still around these days, if they were able to go out on their own sword.
Yeah.
Their own way. And get more time in. Like it's a shame that so many of these talented people don't get that, or they either some tragedy happens or they do something to lose their own way, and then they're not here no more. Like there's so many. I mean, there's so many, man. You got Guerrero, you got Benoit, you got Bam Bigelow, Scott Hall, and Jake. Jake the Snake Roberts was one that he's not dead, but he's somebody that probably could have had another 10, 15 years on his career if he didn't take drugs or lose to his demons for so long, you got so many. Test was a rising star. Like, fucked up. He made the wrong calls.
I mean, I think the difference between and see if you guys agree with me here. I think the difference between Eddie and Bray though was Eddie was already established, man. There was nothing at that point that Eddie couldn't do to where he wasn't fucking over, whether he was a heel or he was a face. For God's sake, the man could have farted into a sombrero, put it on his head, and people would have loved him for it. The thing about Bray was, even though he was over as Cult Bray, and then when he went into the Fiend, Bray was still finding his way. He was still paving his road, and like I said, to kill the momentum on the Fiend character was the dumbest thing they ever did. There was no good reason for that.
Petey's stepmommy.
Eddie
and Chris
my mommy.
Friends. Losing Eddie sends Chris off of the deep end. Watch the dark side of the episode or ring episode. Yeah, I've seen that. That's wow.
The one thing that you want to talk about was Wyatt was still finding his way. Wyatt may have still been finding his way, but Wyatt was also so good at his craft that even when he was still in his even when he was still trying to find his path, you couldn't tell.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, for sure.
The audience couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, the company couldn't keep up with him.
Well, that takes me to the Triple H, to the comment that he made. He was like, Bray is the most exciting person I've ever worked with, but Bray is his own worst enemy because he has so much going up there that not only can we not keep up with him, he can't keep up with him because, he would have so many ideas that they'd be like, wait a minute, you gave us this one. We're trying to work on this one. And then you come over here with this one. Like, but that's awesome though. Nobody's going to fault the guy for that.
Yeah, he reminds me of me because I take ADHD medication. That's kind of what's wrong. That's what's wrong with me is 15 thoughts and I'm only doing 2 of them, and I think that was the biggest thing with Bray's. If he wasn't a wrestler, he could have made it in the movies, the horror movie genre.
Yeah.
The Fiend could have been out entirely
Shoot,
15
yeah.
movie long, the next Freddy and Jason, and it's sad that we'll never get that. We'll never get, Bray moving on to something else, getting to be like a John Cena or The Rock, where they're just wrestle for so long, and then he could have went to the movies. He could have been a director,
Movies. You got Terry Funk. He was, Jesus Christ, Terry Funk was in so many damn movies in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Roadhouse and God knows, and all these other ones. Like,
Yeah. He's like Danny Trejo. All these different movies.
Austin did some movies, but he did a lot of B movies.
Yeah.
I think he just did it for some extra money and then stopped.
Yeah.
I liked The Condemned. That was a good
The
movie.
Condemned was good. The Condemned was really good.
I mean, he was in the newer version, the Adam Sandler version of Longest Yard.
Yep.
What else was he? He was in The Expendables.
oh my God, there was a few of them in The Longest Yard, man. You had
Yeah.
Goldberg was in
Goldberg, yeah.
You fucking Kevin Nash sitting there taking estrogen.
Nash, yeah.
He's sitting there being all fucking girly.
He's rubbing his nipples.
I was stunned. I was cracking up so hard. This is Kevin Nash.
Why are you acting like such a girl? It's called
Big
sports.
sexy Kevin Nash, big Daddy Cool Diesel, and he's in there crying like a little baby back bitch, and it's kind of
You're
like
a fucking man. Act like it.
It's kind of funny, and I'm going to admit this on live stream here, but so I've been married twice. Wife sat down and watched that one. What is it? The Tatum movie, the dancing movie, the Mike, whatever.
Oh fuck,
Magic Mike, whatever. And I just sit here and fucking watch it because you got to do what your wife tells you. And I saw Kevin Nash in there, and he's like the only one that can't dance. He's like the only one that he's moving like he's a broken, stiff fucking man. I was like, you see some of these wrestlers in movies like that you just go, why are they there? What? Why? Don't. And then you see some that are like good. Like a lot of people don't like the Marine. I thought the Marine was actually a really good, accurate depiction of a
Cena or the Miz.
No, fuck Miz.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
The first Marine was good.
And Ted DiBiase Jr. in their Marine episodes or whatever the parts. Yeah, I'm talking about, like, and a lot of people don't like 12 rounds. Like, if everybody remembers 12 rounds,
I do.
Maybe with John Cena in it, the 12 rounds.
I liked that.
That was actually that reminded me a lot of Speed, like the movie Speed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
What was the one that had Dolph Ziggler? It was Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton. I think Rusev was in it, and he was like a mercenary.
Oh, I don't remember that one. I do remember they made 12 rounds part 2 or part 3 or something.
That would have been
Dean Ambrose was in it. Yeah. Dean Ambrose did really fucking good.
Whatever movie you're talking about, Pete, must have went straight to DVD.
It was. I remember Dolph Ziggler was like a mercenary or something, and he fought Rusev at like a strip club. Yeah, I can't remember.
No idea.
I know what you're about now. I think Dolph Ziggler was a cop, and his police
chief might have been a cop.
Played by Kane.
Super Shredder is the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Secret of the Ooze.
Yes, he was. Yep.
And Super Shredder.
Turtles.
Yeah, that
Turtles.
Funny because I have that right over here still.
I was going to talk about old shit.
Turtles.
So I was watching Surf Ninjas earlier. Does anybody know Surf Ninjas?
Yeah.
I was like, you want to take it back? Like, one of my friends tells me that they've never seen Ninja Turtles 2 or 3.
Why?
They only saw the first one, and they're close to my age. I was like, the fuck did you come from? Like, what generation?
I love 3. I'm one of those few. I like 3.
I like 3 better than the Michael Bay ones.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I I watched the Michael Bay ones, but I could only watch them once, and that was done. I was like, okay, cool, explosives, all that shit, but it's not the same. I actually watched the first Turtles movie today on HBO.
I'll tell you this: I would have loved the Michael Bay ones a lot more if they were in the real turtle suits like they were in the original.
Yeah, me too.
Because I like the storyline. I like the fact that they put so many of the comic and cartoon elements of Ninja Turtles in those 2 movies. like Bebop and Rocksteady and Krang and all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
What's the CGI shit? It looks like a fucking green block. So, like, it looks like a turtle took a shit.
Yeah.
They're showing.
Shredder looked like an idiot in those movies too. Even though he was a badass, he looked like an idiot.
Yeah, way overdone.
Like
Over the top, overdone.
Nothing can beat Kevin Nash going turtles.
Turtles, yeah. Now, here's an
Turtles.
interesting question. What did y'all think when? Let's go back to Bray Wyatt for a second. When he would cut his promos, did he ever give y'all an old Jake the Snake vibe in a way when Jake would do his promos?
Well, I brought Jake up earlier when I said 100%. That.
Yeah. And Jake was arguably one of the best. You know, Jake started the whole, getting real close to the mic so that you had to lean in and hear what he was saying. Jake was phenomenal at that. Taker took from Jake. Bray took from Jake. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Jake was one of those talents of the modern wrestling area, Vince McMahon's modern wrestling area after he took over.
Mm-hmm.
Jake was one of the first ones that could go out and scare the shit out of you with his words.
Yeah.
He didn't have to yell. He didn't have to scream. He could just give you that stare and deliver. And it was like, you were like, well, fuck.
I'm about to get my ass destroyed.
But take my ass over there.
If that didn't get you, it was the fucking 8-foot python on his back. But
Yeah.
Like Jake was that prime example of that fucker you just did not screw with. When he cut his promos, you were just like,
no.
And then that damn DDT, he hit that DDT, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like I said, you talk about these what ifs. Like, imagine if Jake would have went another.
You go.
Oh man!
Imagine if Jake would have evolved into the Attitude Era. Think about that.
Oh
yeah.
That would have been damn sure interesting. But he started going through all his troubles then.
Yeah. 1995 and 96, he had all his problems.
Watching that documentary was just painful.
Painful. And
then of course you enter in Scott Hall to that too, and oh man.
Scott Hall is one that sagged me all the way back to the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
When he started having drinking problems before he left Vince.
Yeah.
He came into WCW with problems.
Yep.
And WCW wasn't watching their guys like Vince watches his. So it was like free range for Scott to do whatever he wanted to do. Like there was nobody telling him get help. No one telling him, other than maybe his friends like Nash or so on and Sean Watman. No, the company's not pushing him to get help until he puked live on Nitro one night.
Well, I mean, Sean Waltman wouldn't have been much help either at that point in time. Like Jesus, him in China and all that nonsense. But yeah.
China's another one. China's another one that should still be here today, maybe even performing or at least making appearances.
Appearances for sure. I don't know about performing, but appearances, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine China today in the women's revolution?
I think China would be partnering up with Rhea.
No,
could you imagine if she had showed up at the first all women's pay-per-view, or when they first announced the new women's division and everything, and came in with, put Charlotte against China.
Dude, yeah, that was great. That would have been great, but I really don't see Rhea and her teaming. I'd see them clashing. That would be like strength for strength. That would have been like, holy shit.
I didn't mean like teaming.
No, I know. Hell, even if they were together, it'd be like the brother. I'd call them the Sisters of Destruction. Then.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Petey's stepmom, he says, do you remember what Jake did as a wedding present for Macho Man and Elizabeth? I do not.
I don't.
Elizabeth. One of the people that's how Randy would always say Elizabeth.
Petey's stepmom.
One of them that I really miss
No, that's my fiance. It's a
That's
joke.
good.
It's a joke between Pete and her.
There it is.
That's my stepmommy. She's not my full mommy, just my stepmommy.
The stepping mom.
TB, yeah, you're the one here in Maryland with your little Ravens hat on. Let's see you sporting Baltimore.
Hey, man, TBK, the Baltimore kid, brother.
Well, is there any other? We're gonna wrap this up here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to give y'all an opportunity to share any other last memories that anything that you want us plugged to, anything you want to talk about. Pete, you can talk about your podcast if you want. TBK, you as well. Whichever you want to do. I know that tomorrow night y'all can catch me live on Sports Wire. This has all been mostly about Terry Funk and Bray Wyatt, but tomorrow I'm going to be talking about me and my exit from TBW. So stay tuned for that because some shit went down. So, but other than that, how about you guys? Would you guys like to share? Pete, I can start with you if you want. You can plug your show. You can talk about another thing about Bray Wyatt, Terry Funk, anything you want. Floor is yours.
Yeah. Just check out Cryptid Bros. The episode I did with Bray, it's exclusive to Spotify because I put some music in it.
Give me the link, and I'll put it in the description of this episode, so that way people can follow it.
Okay. Yeah. It's me and Ryan did it like an hour after we heard the news. Mm-hmm. It's our immediate response. Just kind of spur of the moment thing. Outside, like Bray, I tell people, he helped me with mental health and stuff and things like that. And, from a father's aspect on this, I just hope that I can leave a legacy like Bray did for his kids, just not that high, of course, but like just be able to have some, people talk good about you, and the world just, the world just speaks nothing but great on you. There's that one blemish we don't talk about, but just anybody listening, however Bray impacted you, however Terry Funk, earlier this year, Jay Briscoe was one that I was hurt by too. Just live your life, live your life to the fullest, live your life how you want your kids, how you want your family to remember you by, and that's all I got.
Okay. Good deal. What about you, Mr. TBK?
I got a podcast of my own called the Off the Dome Podcast on Spotify. Tomorrow, 12 noon EST, dropping my Bray Wyatt episode. It is called Forever a Firefly. It's got me, Pete, the IMF guys, Omen and Soldier, and Beans, and our buddy Wolf. We're all getting there, sharing our, experiences and our stories about, Bray and, what Bray meant to us and stuff like that. So you guys catch that tomorrow. But yeah, man. So I've always said, unapologetically that, I am a mark 100%. I am a mark for Mark Calloway. The Undertaker will always be my GOAT. And the reason why I say that is because, it was the Undertaker who brought me into being a fan of the WWE. It was nobody else. If it wasn't for Taker, I would not be a fan of the WWE, period. Undertaker is what brought me in. And then, as with everything else in the world, all good things must come to an end. So when it was time for him to hang up his boots, it was Bray Wyatt that made me stay. And now that he's gone, oh boy, I'm going to find it real hard because, like I said, Bray was one of those guys that captivated me to the point to where all I looked forward to was what they were going to do with him next. And now that's not a thing anymore, and it sucks. So
definitely does. Thinking about stuff like that, it's wild. Send me a link if you want, and I can put that down in the description of this too. Everybody go and check TBK. You know, this is a platform. You know, I wanna help people the best that I can. According to other people, you know, they think that whatever, it's fine. I keep that to myself. But this is a platform to help all wrestling fans, and we're all here to just share our experiences and our memories and our, you know, everything that we love. Mr. Craven, you got anything you'd like to share or anything like that?
Blah.
Blah. Blah. Freaking blah.
No, I mean, I can relate with these guys with some of these things, like especially like people that brought you in or people that got you inspired, like that stuff. Like, you know, wrestling has always been a thing. It's always been an escape for me every year. So it's like it's a way to escape and do something out of the normal for myself.
You know, I want to relate with you on that because there's people that go through, and I heard that Bray was one of these. Correct me if I'm wrong. Y'all might know him a little bit more than I do, but I heard that Bray, in a way, suffered a lot from depression and stuff. Everybody has depression problems, and everybody lives vicariously through a character that they love in the world of professional wrestling. And that's one reason why I relate to somebody like Austin or Triple H so much. You know, I of course watched before them, and I was a big believer when I was a kid of Hogan. Hogan was literally like a real life superhero to me. That was who I watched. I watched Hogan like he was the best thing. He was the be all end all because he was so big and so strong, and that's how I liked it. But as you get
growing up, like. Yeah, you know, I like we all have those, right? We all have those people that pull us in and make us gravitate to it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like Bray Wyatt. They're like, yeah, he had mental health. He had mental health problems, but he was. I'll repeat a quote I heard once from a wrestler that struggled with mental health problems. I mean, you guys all know who he is. He's Raven.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like almost like what I said, but it was, he always used to say that wrestling is a reality where you can go to with no fear, no consequences, no worries. Mm-hmm. It's a reality that you can change. You know, he always talk about the different entity of what the world of wrestling is versus reality. And for a lot of guys that I know, even like myself, it's like, you know, you go to normal life, you go bills, you got family, kids, work, whatever, problems. Wrestling is not to steal something from the Vin Diesel's movie, but when he said those 10 seconds or less, right? He's free. Like in a ring, for me, and I think maybe that was the same for Bray, like for those moments where he got to step out of his life and go into that. Maybe that was a freedom for him, which was why he was so good at it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like for me, it's like wrestling is an escape for me. It is an escape from everything else. Mm-hmm. I can be an entirely different human being. You know, people that inspired me from wrestling, like I watched Saturday morning wrestling like you probably did, Taft, back in the day when it was still on the air. My biggest inspiration back then was Bam Bam.
Bam Bam. Yeah.
Bam Bam was like fuck Hogan, fuck Macho, fuck Honky Tonk, fuck all of them. It was Bam Bam for me.
If I had to pick one that was like that other than Hogan, I mean, I really liked Vader. I was a big Vader fan. I like Vader a lot.
I never cared for Vader, but
I don't know why. He was like a bulldozer. Just bam,
just stuck out for me. And then I stopped watching wrestling when I was a little kid until I was in my teens. But the person that drew me back into wrestling, the person that got my attention enough to go, wait, what? Let me go back to this and see what this is again. Was Sting.
Oh, yeah.
Was Sting. Mm-hmm. And then, so I was a WCW watcher. WCW and ECW were my things. I didn't pay attention to WWF. Other than that Saturday morning wrestling that came out back in the early 90s, I stopped watching it. Late 80s, early 90s, I didn't care no more. I did other things, but when I got into my teen years, it was Sting, and I watched WCW literally all the way up until it went out of business. But when I did switch over, the one character that caught my eye, and the story of him caught my eye, was Kane.
Kane?
Was Kane. Mm-hmm. So it kind of, and it just kind of went from there. It's like, I'm not one of these guys that watched wrestling my whole childhood. I watched a little bit when I was like 5, 6, 7 years old, and then I went back into it my teens. But when I went back into my teens, like one inspiration went to another. That one went to another. That one went to another. That one went to another. And then it got to the point where I turned into like I studied it. I even went back to generations beyond my birth and studied like wrestling. Like there's just a lot of trivia. Like I could go into one of them wrestling trivia games. It fascinated me, not because of who these people were, but the show, the character, the gimmicks. So like when you hear me on Tom Show, I'm always talking about people work on your craft, do your character. I'm not just talking about your moves. I'm talking about like really dissected in your brain how you want to just create this undeniable performance or element of a character and deliver it. Make people take a step back and go, whoa. like do that. You know?
Yeah. You want to feel their attention.
Biggest things in wrestling today, and it has been ever since I started really getting back into when I was a teenager, was these grown men and women have the ability to control you, the audience, with such and on top of that, not only can they control you, but some of the few that were so excellent at storytelling and putting themselves out there could leave you, even the most intelligent fan or person that knew it all, jaded. And be like, holy shit, what did I just fucking watch?
Yeah.
It's like, just leave you jaw dropped and captivated like that. Like all these characters, Taker, Kane, Bray, Jake, Terry Funk, all these characters that were able to always not only grab you, but fucking grab you and squeeze. You just couldn't pull away.
Grab you by the throat and just say, come on, let's go for the ride.
Yeah.
If I was to go with that depression thing I was trying to talk about, what it is for me, it's kind of the same. I kind of stopped watching it for a few years, but then when I was about 12, I watched back and started watching it in '96. And Shawn Michaels caught my eye because he wasn't as big, but he was flying all over the screen, and I just was, hell yeah, Shawn Michaels, and then went from there. But what got me to want to do it, because I used to be picked on in intermediate school and junior high, it was Austin. That's why Austin's such an inspiration to someone like me, because he got me to build a backbone and stand up for myself. And then I wanted to get in the ring, and you get these people. Here's where the depression part comes in. You know how you get these kids nowadays that suffer from this depression, and they cut themselves to release the pain, right? My escape from reality to help with any depression that I may have had was to get in a ring, get on a trampoline, get on the ground, get slammed, and just sell and work in a wrestling match. And I, just like you said about Dom and Fast and Furious, that was my escape. I felt free, and I felt like nothing could stop me, you know? And that's one reason why I love wrestling so much today. It saved my life in a lot of ways as well, and that's why I still do it today.
You ain't doing something like, if you're one of those people that get picked on in school. I did. I'm sure everybody had their moments, or some people had their moments. I got picked on in school, middle school, high school. Hell, I even got suspended once for dropping somebody in a reverse DDT, a scorpion death drop. I was in 9th grade. Kid wanted to fight me just for looking at him or looking his direction. And we got out back to school, the typical meet you after school shit. Went out there and it started, and like I had already started backyard wrestling, so it was kind of easy. It was kind of fun for me.
Pete,
Yeah,
I got caught dropping this kid on his back of his head, and I got suspended for that shit.
Did you crack his head?
Yeah, he was bleeding a little bit. His mom didn't like it. My mom didn't like it.
Pete's
like it.
stepmommy's saying I've
Pussy.
spent quite a bit of time with Sting. Very humble and great guy. Is it really? That's cool.
Yeah, and,
Steve Borden is a very peaceful, calm, wonderful person to be around.
yeah. She actually at one point in time she had Steve's and she had Kevin's personal phone numbers.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Talk about connections. Talk about
Yeah. I didn't believe her. I made her call, and of course, I was like, "Nah, you're full of shit." And she called, and it was the voicemail for Steve Borden, and it, "Hello, this is Steve. Can't get to the phone right." I was like, "Fuck, you weren't lying." All right,
I'm a big fan, by the way.
that's
Big
a
fan.
flex to have. Like, oh yeah, Sting, yeah, I got his number. Call him all the time.
Well, I want to thank all y'all for coming on, and for the few people like Sean Jovi and everybody, and people who've left their comments and watched. Let's see. Oh, only 2 members of the Wyatt family left, according to Buddha. I know it's crazy to think about that. There's only those 2 left, and now it's on them just to continue on. Hopefully they will, especially Braun Strowman. Whew. But guys, again, thank you so much, ladies and germs. I appreciate every one of you. Be sure to share, like, comment, subscribe. If you haven't gone on my Etsy store, you can get my new shirt. TNJT is officially on there. And follow these guys. I'm going to put links to their Spotify's and their channels down in the description below, and you can check them out later. And hey, y'all are all more than welcome to come back on the Nemesis sessions if you ever decide you want to, and we can talk more things wrestling. Stay in contact. And until next time, we will catch you all down the road, and we'll see you in the next episode.